Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this whimsigoth inspired sun and moon celestial bag. It is made up of granny squares and these adorable sun and moon decorations. So let's get into the tutorial. So for this project I'm going to be using two different colours of yarn. They are both acrylic and one is double knit and one is chunky. So for the double knit squares I basically did an extra row to account for that extra amount of size that I needed to match the chunky size. This one has 5 rows and this one has 6 rows, but then they measure the same. They are about 5 inches by 5 inches. So for both colours I would recommend at least having 100 grams just to be on the safe side. So that's in total 200 grams of yarn. If you are using the same weight yarn you obviously don't need to do different rows, you just do the exact same amount of rows for both and you can do as many rows as you like so that you get the desired size of the square that you want. So for the sun decoration I've got two different shades of yellow. One is a very warm and darker yellow and this one is like a lemon yellow, and for each I've probably got about 30 to 40 grams, so you don't need a lot, and I definitely won't be needing this all of this. And you don't have to use two different colours for the sun, it's just that I think it has a cool effect when you kind of use two different colours. And then for the moon I'm obviously going to be using white, so I just got a small amount of this because I'm probably only going to be doing maybe 4 or 5 moons depending on the design. So I would recommend as a baseline 25 grams of white double knit acrylic yarn. Obviously you don't have to use acrylic, but all of the yarn I'm using today is acrylic, so I just thought I'd make it all match. So for both squares I used a 4.5mm hook. And then for my extra details, so the sun and the moon, I am going to be sizing down to a 3.5mm hook. You don't have to do this, however, I was getting quite a lot of holes in my work by using a larger hook with double knit yarn, so I just highly recommend to size down a hook if you are using double knit yarn in the round. Also going to need some scissors, a stitch marker, and you might need a sewing needle if you are not going to single crochet or slip stitch your squares together, then you might need a sewing needle to sew them all. Okay, so I'm going to show you the square with the lighter colour blue yarn because that is going to be much easier to show up on camera. Now, like I said at the beginning, for the chunky yarn I actually did 5 rows for the granny square, and for the double knit yarn, which was slightly finer in thickness, I did 6 squares to account for that size difference. So I'm going to start off all of my squares the exact same, and I'm going to start off with a slip knot and I'm going to chain 3. So I'm just going to chain 3 like that, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain to create a ring, and this ring will be quite tight but it's going to make the square nice and dense. So I'm just going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain, and this is going to create a circle, and then you just want to pull apart that circle until you find that central hole right in the middle. So it's that one right there, and that's what I'm going to be crocheting into. So I'm going to start off my row with a chain of 2, and this is going to count as a half double crochet. So for the first row I'm going to do a set of 3 half double crochets and then a chain 2, and then I'm going to repeat that all the way around. My first chain 2 counts as a half double crochet, so for my first set I'm just going to do 2 half double crochets into the ring. So I'll yarn over, insert my hook into the ring, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So that's your half double crochet, and I'm going to do it one more time so then I have technically 3 half double crochets. So yarn over, insert my hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. So that is my first cluster. So now I'm going to start the next step, which is going to be a chain 2, and this is going to create the chain spaces that are basically going to create these cool diagonal holes going across the square. So I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing again. I'm going to do 3 half double crochets. Now obviously at the beginning we didn't need to do 3 because I already did a chain 2 which counted as 1, but from this point forward I am going to be doing 3 half double crochets, and I'm going to repeat the 3 half double crochet chain 2 sequence 3 more times. So 3 half double crochets into the ring, that's 1, 2 and 3. I'm going to repeat it again, chain 2 and 3 half double crochets, chain 2 again, and last one, 3 half double crochets. Now because the sequence is 3 half double crochets and a chain 2, I'm going to finish by doing a chain 2, and then we're just going to connect that chain 2 to that first half double crochet that we made, which is actually just a chain 2. So I'm going to slip stitch into the top chain of that chain 2. So there's the first one and there's the second one, and I'm just going to push my hook through those loops and make my slip stitch to connect everything. Okay, so this is what you should have, and then you can just pull on the ring to close it. For the second row, I'm basically going to be starting with a corner space. Now, we're not technically in the corner space, so I kind of have to move the hook backwards to this first corner space to start it. So I'm starting all of my rows with a chain 2, and then I'm going to kind of move the work back and insert my hook back into that first corner space. And for all of the next rows, I'm only going to be doing 2 half double crochets for the corner spaces. So I've already technically done my half double crochet because the chain 2 counts as one. So I'm just going to do another half double crochet in this corner space, like that. And then for the actual corner space sequence, it will be 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 half double crochets, all in that same space. Now it can look like it's a bit out of place, like it's a bit bulky, but you just have to trust the process. And now we're going to be working all the way around the edge of the square. So we'll end up back over here and we will slip stitch into the top of that chain 2. So after you've done the first chain space, you're then going to want to do 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So where we've got these 3 clusters, these 3 stitch clusters below, I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into the top of each of these. So into this first one, there's 1, into the next one, there's 2, and then into that last one, there's 3. And now I'm going to do 2 half double crochets, a chain 2 and 2 half double crochets into this next corner space, which is this chain 2 gap right here. So 2 half double crochets, a chain 2 and 2 half double crochets. Okay, and then we're going to repeat what we did right here over here. I'm now going to do 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2 and 3, like that. Then I'm going to do my next corner space, so 2 half double crochets, a chain 2 and 2 half double crochets again. Now I'm going to repeat basically what I've just been doing until I get to the end. So I'm going to do 3 half double crochets, and then I'm going to do my corner space, and then I'm going to do another 3 half double crochets, and then I'll meet you back at this point. Okay, so once you have completed your last 3 half double crochets, we're now ready to connect this side to the beginning. So you just kind of want to pull out that first chain 2 that we made at the beginning and find the top of that chain, so the second chain you made, and you're just going to slip stitch once again into that stitch to close the round. And as you can see, we've got a nice square. And now I'm going to start the next row. So this is row 3, and as you can see, we are not really at the corner space anymore. So from this point, you'll probably notice that we're at this kind of awkward spot in the middle, and it's fine. All it means is that we'll either be doing half double crochets into a stitch, or we'll be doing it into the corner space, and that's pretty much all you need to know for this granny square, is that if you're in a corner space, you'll be doing the 2 half double crochets, chain 2, 2 half double crochets, and if you reach the edges here, you'll be doing 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So now for row 2, rather than doing 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches, we're going to be doing it into the next 6 stitches, so it's basically just doubled. So I'm just going to chain 2 to start my row, and that counts as a half double crochet, by the way. So it's not the half double crochet in the chain space, it's going to be a half double crochet on this row. So now I'm on the row, I'm going to do a half double crochet into the next spot right here, and then I'm going to do my corner space. So I'm going to do 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and 2 half double crochets into that space. Now I've reached the middle section, so now I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet into the next 6 stitches. Okay, then I'm going to go into the next corner space, do my corner cluster, 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and 2 half double crochets, and then I'll do my 6 half double crochets. So as you can see, the sequence is pretty similar. Like I said, you'll either be doing 6 half double crochets into the stitches, or you'll be doing your corner space. So just continue that all the way around, and then I'll meet you back at the beginning. So I've just reached the beginning. Now, as you know, right at the start of this 3rd row, we did a chain 2, which counted as a half double crochet, and then all we had to do was 1 half double crochet in the next stitch before we did the cluster. So when you come back round to the beginning, you should only have 4 half double crochets left to do. So as I've been doing before, I'm going to slip stitch now into that top chain of the chain 2, and we're now ready to start the next row, which is row 4. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing, chain 2 counts as a half double crochet, and then I'm going to do a half double crochet into all of these stitches across until I get to that corner space. So it looks like I've just got to do 3. So 1, 2, and 3. You'll notice that for each row, the stitches in between the corner clusters increase by 3. So for this row, I'm going to be doing 9 half double crochets in between the corner clusters. So we've just technically done 4, so that means that we're going to have 5 left to do back here. So now I'm just going to do my corner cluster, and then I'm going to do 9 half double crochets, corner cluster, 9 half double crochets, corner cluster, and so on. So when I get back to the beginning here, I'm just going to have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that chain. And then I'm going to do one more row because that is the size of the square that I want to do. So for that row, it will be the 4 corner clusters, and then in between those will be 12 half double crochets. Like I explained earlier, for the other square, I did an extra row, so that meant that that final row was 4 corner clusters, and in between was 15 half double crochets rather than 12. So basically I had 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. So after my 5th row, I'm then going to fasten off, so I will slip stitch into that top chain, and then just chain 1 and fasten off. So I made 10 dark blue squares, and I'm going to be making 9 light blue squares. So that is the amount that you want to make for this particular style bag together. So as you can see, for one side of the bag I've done this arrangement, so light blue, light blue, dark blue, light blue, dark blue, and then I'm going to do the opposite for my second set of 6 squares, which is going to be dark blue, light blue, dark blue, light blue, dark blue, light blue, if that makes sense. I'm going to do an arrangement of dark blue, light blue, and dark blue, and then light blue, dark blue, and light blue again. And I'm basically just going to be slip stitching across. So I'm just going to start off with these 2 on the left, so I'm just going to move these to the side for the time being. And I'm going to grab my yarn. I'm just going to be using the dark blue, but you can literally use either colour. So take your main colour and make a slip knot. And I'm going to be grabbing my 4.5mm hook. And I'm basically just going to fold these together like this with the neat sides facing upwards. I'm going to be starting by basically going into the second chain of the chain 2 space. So there's the first chain, here's the second chain. And I'm going to push my hook through that second chain, but just the back loop only, like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the blue one, but I'm going to be grabbing the front loop only, or the loop closest to you. But it might be hard to see, but here's the chain space, here's the first chain, and here's the second one. And I'm going to grab the inside loop, so that is the technically the front loop, if we're facing it this way. pull your slip knot through those 2 loops, and that is going to count as 1 slip stitch, and then just chain 1 to attach it, and that is going to count as 1 slip stitch. And then I'm basically going to just slip stitch across into those inside loops, so grabbing the back loop on the front panel and the front loop on the back panel, just like I did here, and slip stitching across, and then I'm going to continue to grab the next squares. Now obviously I have one square that has got slightly more stitches in than the other square. So this light blue square across here has 12 stitches, and on this dark blue one across it has 15 stitches. So I'm going to just basically line them up as best as I can, and if there's any kind of misalignment I am just going to skip a stitch. It doesn't make too much of a difference. Obviously if you've made squares that have got the exact same amount of rows in, and you haven't had to alter it like I have, then you don't need to do this, just continue to slip stitch across. So I've just slip stitched all the way across, and I've stopped right where that second chain is of the chain 2 space. Now I'm going to grab my next set of squares. My next set of squares is now going to be a dark blue and a light blue on top, and then I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to fold them together like that, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to pick up the back loop of that chain right there in the corner of that blue square, and the chain on the back panel, and I'm going to grab the front loop like that, and then just do your slip stitch as normal. And this one you want to do fairly tight because you want to make sure that they're joined nice and tight, so just pull on the working yarn nice and tight to join it, and then you can just carry on with your normal tension all the way across. Okay, so now my second lot of squares have now been attached. I can now do the third one, and it's literally the exact same thing. So this time I'm going to be doing what I did at the beginning. The blue square, the light blue square is going to be the one on top, and the dark blue square is going to be at the back, and I'm just going to slip stitch across. And when I do that final slip stitch into that chain, I'm then just going to chain 1 and fasten off. And you should have something that looks similar to this, it just might be a different colour arrangement, but something like this. And then you want to make sure that you have got 2 sets of 2 squares, so just one on top of each other like this, and then you want to have 1 set of 3 squares, so it would technically just be something like this. So in total you want 2 sets of 6 squares like this, 2 sets of 2 squares, so like this, and then 1 set of 3 squares like this. Okay, so I'm now going to be showing you how to make the sun, and you're going to need your 2 colours of yellow. So I'm going to be starting off with the deeper colour of yellow, and I'm going to take my 3.5mm hook, and I'm just going to make a slip knot and a chain of 3. And then I'm going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain to make a ring, just like we've been doing. And I'm going to do 6 single crochets into the ring, and on the 6th single crochet I'm going to switch to my second yellow colour, so my lighter yellow. So I'm just going to start off with 5 single crochets to begin with, and then I'm going to show you how I switch colours on the 6th. Now you want to take the tail of your lighter colour of yellow, just have that ready, and then you're going to want to start your single crochet. So insert your hook into the ring, yarn over and pull through, and instead of yarning over and pulling through those 2 loops with your deeper yellow, you're going to grab your new colour, wrap it over the hook, and then just pull through those 2 loops with your new colour, like that. And then you can just drop the darker yellow at the back, because we're now going to be working with the lighter yellow. And I am going to be including the deeper yellow, so I'm going to be carrying it over to all of my next stitches, because I'm going to be switching back and forth between the two. So you want to make sure that you're carrying both of your colours across all of your stitches. So now I'm just going to place my stitch marker in that final 6th single crochet, so through that darker yellow loop, like that. And now I'm ready to start my second round, which is going to be a sequence of 2 single crochets into each stitch, which is going to bring your stitches up to 12. I'm going to be doing 2 single crochets into the next 5 stitches, and then on that very last stitch I'm going to be switching back. So I'm just going to go into my next stitch, insert my hook, and then I'm going to grab the longer tail of the yellow and just wrap it over so that I can include it in the work, so that when we want to switch colours later we've got that long tail ready. And just make your single crochet as normal, like that, and we're going to be increasing, so we're doing 2 in each stitch. So another 1 in that stitch, like that. So that's now 2, another 2 in the next stitch, carrying that yarn tail into it. So now we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 in the next stitch. So now we have 6 into the next stitch, 2 more. Now we have 8 to the next stitch, 2 more. Now we have 10. So now I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then when I do the increase I'm going to be switching to my darker yellow. So essentially the first single crochet is going to be in the light yellow, and then the second one is going to be in the dark yellow. So I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch, carrying that yellow, yarn over and pull through, and then I'm going to switch to my darker yellow and finish the stitch with that darker yellow. So now I've got 1 single crochet in that stitch, and I need to do my final increase, so I'm just going to do 1 single crochet, and I'm going to loop that light yellow over. So my last stitch is going to be an increase with 2 different colours. So now I'm going to place the stitch marker back into that final single crochet, and you should now have 12 single crochets in your round. Now for round 3 I'm going to do a sequence of 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochets into the second stitch, and I am going to be switching colours. So I'm going to do that sequence twice with my dark yellow. I'm going to carry over that light yellow, so just grab that light yellow. So I'm going to start off with my first sequence, so 1 single crochet into the first stitch, 2 single crochets into the second stitch, and I want to do that twice, so I'm going to do it one more time. 1 single crochet and then 2 into the next stitch, like that. Now this sequence, the next one, is the one where I'm going to be switching to my light yellow, because this is now going to create the kind of swirl. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then I'm going to switch colours on the increase. So I'm going to do my first single crochet in dark yellow and switch to light yellow for my second one. So I've done my first one of the increase and now do my second one of the increase, and now we've switched colours. So that third sequence is going to have 2 different colours on that increase. Now I'm going to repeat that sequence now for the rest of the row. So 3 times I'm going to do 1 single crochet and increase with my light yellow. That's 1. That's 2, and then last one. And then increase into that final stitch of the round, and then place your stitch marker back into that final stitch. And then for round 4 I'm going to be doing a sequence of 1 single crochet into the first 2 stitches and into the third stitch 2 single crochets or an increase. So the sequence is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, 2 single crochets and an increase all the way around, and I am going to be switching colours in between, but I am going to explain where I'm going to do that. So firstly I'm going to do that sequence twice with my light yellow, and on that final stitch on that second increase I'm going to switch to my dark yellow. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 in the second, and then increase into the third stitch. I'm going to do it one more time, and on that very last increase I'm going to switch to dark yellow. So 1 in the first stitch, 1 in the second. I'm going to do the first of the increase and switch to my dark yellow. So now I've just done 1 and last one to complete that increase. We've switched back to dark yellow. Now I'm going to do the sequence 3 times with the dark yellow. So 2 single crochets and an increase. So I've just done the sequence once, 2 more times. So 1, 1 and then increase. Again, 1, 1 and an increase. Now I'm going to start the last part of the sequence, so 1, 1, 2, and I'm going to insert my hook into that first stitch of the sequence, yarn over and pull through, and I'm going to switch to my light yellow. So I've just got to complete the last part of the sequence now, which is just 1 single crochet and then an increase into that final stitch. And then we can place the stitch marker back to that last one we just made. Okay, and now we're going to be on our final row of increasing, so we are nearly there. I know it can be a bit complicated, but just follow along as best as you can. So the final row is of course going to now be 3 single crochets and an increase, and then I'm going to show you where I'm going to be switching colours. So I'm going to do that sequence 4 times, and on that 4th increase I'm then going to switch to the dark yellow. Then the last sequence of the 3 single crochets and an increase before we switch colours. So just do the 3 single crochets as normal, and on the increase I'm going to switch colours. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull through, switch colours, and yarn over and pull through those 2 loops with the dark yellow, and then just do your increase stitch right there so that you've got 2 different colours for that increase stitch. Okay, and now we just need to do the sequence 2 more times till we get to the end of the row with the dark yellow. Okay, so now you should have 30 stitches in your round, and now we're going to do something a little bit easier. We're going to just be alternating between a long leg for the dark yellow sections and a short leg for the light yellow sections. So as you can see here, these kind of streams of light for the sun are alternating different colours here. So I'm going to just show you how to do that. So the first leg that I'm going to do is going to be the dark yellow one, which is the larger one. So I'm going to just slip stitch into the next stitch to start kind of the next row. Just slip stitch, and then you can place your stitch marker into that to indicate the beginning of the row. Now the first kind of stick or leg, whatever you want to call it, is going to be the large one, and it's going to start off with a half double crochet, a double crochet and a treble crochet all in the same stitch. So the same stitch where I've just slip stitched into. So I'll just zoom you in a bit so you can really see everything clearly. So I'm starting off with a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, like that. Then you want to do a double crochet in the same stitch, so similar, yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull through, and this time I'm going to yarn over and just pull through the first 2 loops, and then you'll have 2 loops on your hook and you want to yarn over and pull through those last 2 loops. So that stitch is going to be slightly taller, and then we're going to do a treble crochet, so I'm going to yarn over twice, 1 and 2, and then I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over again and pull through. You should have 4 loops on your hook and you're going to pull through 2 loops 3 times. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and then lastly yarn over and pull through 2. So that stitch is going to be even taller. So you can kind of see the progression of how the stitches get taller to create that point. Now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to be tilting the chain so that we're working on these back bumps right here, and I'm going to insert my hook into the second back bump and just make a slip stitch like that, and then into the next back bump I'm going to do a half double crochet, into the next back bump a slip stitch, into the next back bump a half double crochet, and then into the next stitch, which technically isn't really a stitch, you just want to kind of find 2 loops on the side of that treble crochet. You want to do another half double crochet. So yarn over, and I'm just going to pick up kind of 2 loops on the side of that treble crochet and make that half double crochet again. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but this time a single crochet, so into the next sort of space / 2 loops on the treble crochet right at the bottom, I'm going to do a single crochet like that, and then to finish up the stitch, and we're also going to be switching colours here, I'm going to insert my hook into that light yellow stitch on the circle, make a single crochet, and I'm going to be switching colours. So I've inserted my hook, yarn over and pull through, drop your first colour and pick up the second colour, and then complete that stitch with your new colour. Now we have finished that first little stem thing, and we can now complete our second one. So to start the next one, you want to slip stitch into the next stitch, like that. This one's going to go a little bit quicker. So we're going to start off with a chain of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like before, I'm going to flip the chain over so we're working on the back. And I'm going to start off in that second back bump, right there, a slip stitch. Like that. Into the next back bump I'm going to do a half double crochet, and then into the next back bump I'm going to do a double crochet. Like that. And then into our final back bump, which is right at the bottom, kind of where we made that first chain, I'm going to do a half double crochet. And then similar to what we did back here, I'm going to finish by making a single crochet into the next stitch on the circle, and I'm going to switch back to my original colour, so that dark yellow. So just insert your hook into the next stitch on the circle, yarn over and pull through, drop your second colour and pick up your first colour, and then pull through those 2 loops with your new colour, like that, and then you can just pull tight on that second colour. And then we can start the next one, which was the first one we done, with a slip stitch into the next stitch. So you're always going to want to start your next little sticks with a slip stitch before you start the pattern. So now I'm just going to be repeating the pattern that I did for the longer one and then the shorter one. Remember to switch colours at the correct points, and when you start your next one, once you have got your new colour on your hook, you always want to start with a slip stitch into the next stitch. So I'm going to continue all the way around, and then once I've slip stitched into this stitch marker, I'm just going to fasten off, and then I'm going to show you how to make the moon. So before I show you how to actually make the crescent moon, I just wanted to show you what it looks like once you've finished it, because you might be thinking, well, it doesn't really look like a crescent moon, but it's all about shaping it once you sew it onto the square. So I'm just going to take these squares for an example. So if I wanted to place this moon on the square, I'd just simply kind of either pin it in place or just hold it with my fingers as I'm sewing it around. You can kind of just eyeball it if you want, but you can just kind of shape it into the curve that you want, so that when it does eventually get sewn on, it looks much more like a crescent moon. So take your white yarn and you want to make a chain of 19. So once you have your chain, you want to flip the chain over, just like we've been doing for all of our other chains. Flip it over, and in that second back bump make a slip stitch, like that. And then into the next 3 back bumps I'm going to make a single crochet. 1, 2 and 3. And then into the next 3 back bumps I'm going to do a half double crochet. So 1, 2 and 3. And then into the next back bump I'm going to do a double crochet and a treble crochet in the same stitch. So double crochet and a treble crochet in that same back bump. Into the next back bump I'm just going to do 1 treble crochet. Into the next back bump I'm going to do another treble crochet. So you'll have 2 treble crochets either side each other in the centre of the moon. And then into the next back bump I'm going to do a treble crochet and a double crochet. So all of that in the same stitch. So treble crochet and double crochet. And then into the next 3 back bumps I'm going to do a half double crochet. And then into the next 3 back bumps I'm going to do a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and then into that final back bump I'm going to do a slip stitch, like that. Okay, so once you have done your slip stitch, this is what you should have so far, and now we are going to basically tilt the work to the opposite side, so upside down, and we're going to be working across the bottom in those stitches. So into the next stitch across the bottom, right next to that slip stitch we just made right here, I'm then going to do 1 single crochet into that stitch, and then 1 single crochet as well into the next 2 stitches, so that's 3 in total. And then I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches. I'm just tucking this tail in as I go so that I don't have to weave it in later. Last one. Okay, and then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. And then I'm going to do 1 half double crochet into the next 3 stitches. Then I'm going to do 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And then finally into that last stitch I'm going to do a slip stitch. Okay, so this is what you should have so far, and then for the last part we're just going to work around in a circle again, just doing slip stitches into each stitch. So I'm just going to find my next stitch along the top of the work, carrying on from where I was, making a slip stitch, and then into the next stitch on the other side, slip stitch, into the next stitch, slip stitch, and I'm just working all the way up along this edge, and then going back round and across the bottom, doing 1 slip stitch into each stitch. Okay, so I've just done my last slip stitch across the bottom, and now I'm just going to chain one and fasten off, and you can just leave a longish tail for sewing. So I'm going to make 4 sun decorations, and then I'm going to make 4 moon decorations, and then I'm going to just dot them about across each of the squares, and I'm just going to sew it with a sewing needle onto each one, and then I'm going to show you how we assemble the panels all together. Okay, so as you can see, I have sewn on all of the suns and moons, and now I'm going to show you how to attach it. Now it's very kind of self-explanatory because it's pretty much the exact same thing we've done when we attach the squares together. This time I'm just attaching long kind of lines of the panels together. So starting off with one of the front panels, the large panels made up of 6 squares, and the bottom panel made up of 3 squares, and you just want to line them up together, and then using the exact same technique that I used for the squares where I did slip stitches in the inside loops, starting off in this corner and working across. If you're right-handed, you'll be starting in the right-hand corner and working across to the left, and then you can grab the other front panel and attach this edge to the other 6 square front panel as well, and then you should have a very large box essentially. Okay, so once you have attached all of these panels together, you should have 15 squares in total all attached, and now you just want to fold it in half so that you've just got 6 squares showing, and then on either side of these 6 squares you're going to then attach your 2 square pieces to the side of each one. So I'll put my 2 square pieces and attach it along this seam, and then with this 2 square piece I'll do the exact same thing, line it up on this side and attach it along that seam. Once you attach them along that seam, you can turn the work around and attach the other side of the square to the other seam so that you've got everything attached like that. And then the last step will just be with your 2 squares attached at either side to attach the bottom to the bottom square like this, and same goes for this one over here. Attach the bottom to the bottom square, and then you should have kind of like a rectangular box type shape. Okay, so now I have attached all of the squares together, and I'm now going to be starting the bag strap section. And before I do that, I am going to do a few rows around the top edge just to bring a little bit of shape to the bag, because at the moment it's quite boxy and I just want it to cinch in slightly. So I'm firstly going to do a decrease row of just half double crochets, and then from there I'm going to just do a couple of normal rows, so no decreases. So I'm going to be using my lighter blue yarn for this. I'm just going to start it in this edge right here where the seam is, right there. And I'm just going to insert my hook. I've got my 4.5mm hook right in that edge. It doesn't really matter where. Just pull your slip knot through like that. So you can do any kind of sequence you want, you just want to make sure that you are doing a decrease round of some sort. I don't really recommend doing a decrease every other stitch because you are going to be really cinching in this bag, and unless that's the look you want, it's probably going to look a lot different from what it is now. So I'm going to be doing a decrease of maybe every 3rd stitch. So I'm going to start off with my first stitch right here, and I'm going to just chain 1, and then I'm going to go into the next stitch and I'm going to do my first half double crochet. Like that. So that's my first one, and I'm going to do 2 more. Okay, so that's 3 in total, and then I'm just going to skip the next stitch, and then I'm going to repeat the sequence again, 3 half double crochets. So 1, 2, 2 and 3, and then I'm going to skip the next stitch and repeat the same thing again, 3 half double crochets, and I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. And if you get to the end of the round and whatever sequence you're doing, you've got kind of an odd number of stitches at the end that don't match up, it's fine, you can just do half double crochets until you get to the end. It's not going to affect anything about the look of the bag. Just in terms of the sequence, you might not get an exact number, but it is not going to affect anything, so just go with whatever looks good. So I'm just going to do that now, and then when I come back I'm going to show you the next few rows. Okay, so once you've completed your last half double crochet, you can then just slip stitch back into that top chain 1, so that chain 1 that we made, and then we are going to start the next row. So I'm going to chain 1 again, and I'm going to do the same decrease row because I just wasn't happy with the shape of it still, but you don't have to do this. If you're happy with the shape of your bag, then you can just do a few more rows of half double crochet, literally just do however many you want until you're happy. Okay, so as you can see, I've completed the top band section. So in total I did 3 decrease rows, so I did 1, 2, 3, and then I did 2 normal rows, so in total 5 rows, and I just ended by doing a slip stitch into that chain 1 and then fastening off. And you should have a nice neat seam here, and then I'm just going to tilt the work now to do the bag strap, and I'm going to basically use this kind of side square section here where there was 2 squares as my kind of guide for where the strap is going to go, and the same for the other side. So I'm basically going to just attach the yarn, and I'm going to do rows of half double crochet until I'm happy with how long the strap is, and then I'm just going to fasten off and then sew the other side on. So where the other 2 square side is, I'm just going to line it up there and sew it. And I'm going to basically start off with like a normal row, and then the second row I'm going to do a decrease row, and then from that point forward I'm going to do a normal rows, because this just adds a nice bit of shape. So from this edge here I'm just going to count sort of over here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So about 10 stitches I'm going to start off with. So I'll just insert my hook into that 10th stitch. If you're right-handed, you'll be inserting it on the right side and working across the other way. And I'm just going to pull my yarn through and chain 1 to attach it. And I'm going to start my first row off by doing slip stitches, and this is just going to add a little bit more density to the strap and ensure that there isn't really as much stretching, because the slip stitch is such a tight stitch. So the chain 1 is going to count as 1 slip stitch, and then I'm going to just slip stitch into the next 9 stitches. So I've just done my first row, which is a slip stitch, and I'm just going to turn the work. I'm not going to chain 1 because I want the strap to be as strong as I can make it. Chain 1 adds a little bit of kind of a gap between each row and just gives it a bit more stretch, which if you want that, that's fine. I don't really want that. I want to make this bag as strong as I can. So I've just turned the work around, and for the second row, which is going to be my decrease row, I'm going to just skip the first stitch, and I'm going to skip the second to last stitch. So that first stitch I'm going to skip, and I'm going to do a half double crochet into that second stitch. So that's second slip stitch right there. Just do a half double crochet, just weaving in that end as I go. So I've just skipped a stitch, and now I'm just going to half double crochet all the way across until I just have those 2 stitches left. So I've got my 2 stitches left. I'm going to skip that second to last stitch and just do my half double crochet in that final stitch. Okay, so now we've reached the point now where we don't need to do any more decreases, we can just do normal rows. So now I'm just going to turn the work. This is row 3, and I'm just going to do 1 half double crochet into each stitch. So I'm now going to have 8 stitches in my row. So 1, okay, So that is my third row complete, and now I'm going to just repeat row 3 until I'm happy with how long the bag strap is. And you can just kind of hold it up against you, wrap it over your shoulder and see if you're happy with it. So once I am happy with the amount of rows I've got, I'm then going to show you the final step. Okay, so for the final 2 rows, I'm firstly going to just do a 1/2 double crochet into the first stitch, and then into the second stitch I'm going to do 2 1/2 double crochets to increase, and then I'm going to do 1/2 double crochet into each stitch across, and I'm going to stop right before the second to last stitch. And then in that second to last stitch I'm going to make 2 1/2 double crochets to make another increase. And then I'm going to do 1/2 double crochet into that final stitch, and this is going to bring your stitches up to 10. And then for that final row I'm going to turn the work, and I'm just going to make 10 slip stitches, so just 1 into each stitch. And then you just want to fasten off and leave a long tail for sewing, and then you can just sew your bag strap to match the other side. So you just want to line it up and then securely sew it to that other side. And that is everything for this tutorial. I hope you all enjoyed making your bags, and if you have any questions let me know and I will try my best to help, and feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments as well for any future videos, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys.